Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daddy Knows Best channel, helping you be a happy, successful man out there. Today we're going to be talking about some dating advice, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly of, is there any good advice out there? There's a lot of stuff that's really bad advice and a lot of garbage and stuff that's outdated, and let's talk about how to actually get a date. If you are out there and you still want to date, of course, in this channel, we are very aware of the dangers of marriage in the divorce courts, that you can have half or more of everything that you've ever worked for and earned taken and stolen from you from government and lawyers, and a lot of benefits and awards are given to women. No matter, even if you paid for that $10,000 ring, even if you paid for that $50,000 wedding, the wedding dress and everything else, no matter if you paid for everything, the utilities and the water, and you made her as happy as can be, you made those drives to go get those pickles and ice cream and did everything that she wanted, it doesn't matter. But let's see what dating is about, because again, a lot of people are just going casual these days. It's a very, Netflix and chill. It's a very casual type of affair for a lot of people these days. Now, again, there's different types of dating, different types of people, and we're going to be making some videos for people who are looking for marriage or a semi, relationships that you like them to last 6 months or a year. But we're just going to be talking about dating in general here. So again, we're going to be going over multiple websites, multiple pieces of advice, and having some funs and jokes along the way. So the first one here is from Stylecasta. The author, the writer, is Bella Gerard. So we have a lady in the house giving us some advice, and they tell us dating trends, and they say this is for 2022. It's supposed to be recent. It's supposed to be relevant. Trends for anyone who's sick of being single. So the people who no longer want to be single, supposedly this is advice for you if you do want to have maybe a relationship. They talk about the common things people do: going to grab drinks, going to go get coffee. There's a lot of women these days who now, having a first conversation, being able to introduce yourselves in a casual, safe, open situation where you go grab a coffee with each other, because to a lot of people, getting a coffee is a very common activity. And, those are very social places, going to somewhere like Starbucks or a coffee shop. For some reason, a lot of women are acting like that's not normal, and with a lot of people who are obsessed or were obsessed with the coof or the cough, they've changed that dynamic. They don't think that's as normal as to go get a coffee or anything. They don't think that's normal anymore or acceptable. So even the little things that you think are normal, I mean, that still might be able to work for you. Go get a coffee, have an introduction, have a good, a little flirtatiousness, and in a space where, they'd feel safe and comfortable. But it's just not going to be the same. Things have changed, my friends and my men and women too. Women watching this channel, you're very welcome here as well. So they even talk about that. The pre-pandemic dating was basically a cakewalk. So they think they think it was easy to date before the coof, before the corona. Oh, it might have been easy for women, but of course, you as men have to put forward all the effort and the money. Let's continue to see what they have to say. They talk about some, the risk of being exposed, and then potentially, the dangers of that, and that's to them their biggest concern. And of course, women are going to still continue the game. They think it's very funny. They can make an excuse, and play a game. And you have to figure out what they're saying behind their words. And this is where we're going to start out with this conversation. You have to start understanding what women mean by how they say things and their body language. Now, if somebody's not being very open and honest and genuine with me and just using words, and I prefer things to be fairly simple, I just drop them. I don't even deal with them. I don't even bother to play the game. It's not worth my time and effort, and most of the time it's not, I don't believe, worth your time and effort to play the little games that they play. But here they say, I'm already seeing someone, my therapist, and they think this is cute. They can say that they're already dating someone when they just obviously lie, or they can refer that to a friend, even a female friend, at the time. Maybe she's experimenting with her lesbian, or being bisexual, or she can be attempting to date a guy, or maybe she has an ex she's trying to get back to. um, these are all things that they do. But again, a lot of the times women will never admit to being single, because it's not beneficial for women to ever be single. They're always getting some kind of benefit, some kind of relationship, some kind of status or money or influence, or some kind of emotional feelings from being in some kind of intermingling, having a relationship with somebody, anybody. So a lot of the times when women are actually single, they're actually really unhappy, and it's kind of it's hard to date them. So if they're completely single. But again, it also fits into this game of loyalty. Where their loyalties lie, and they excuse, and there's lots of people who are promoting and even defending hypergamy, that women can like date around and flirt around and find the biggest best person. You might say, oh, men do that too. Men find the best suitable person, but men don't get to hide or lie, or send little messages, play little games as much. It's not as socially acceptable, and men don't play the game as much. But people are catching up. Not only are men starting to pay attention that divorce courts, and even if you're not married, even if she just gets into your house, she can accuse you of anything in this Me Too era. She could try to get your job, or just, especially if she figures out that you're freedom minded or even a libertarian. I mean, if you are a conservative, she'll probably just try to get you fired just for fun, for funsies. But again, these people, a lot of them, they're not able to control their emotions. They're not self-critical. They have big egos. They cannot accept when they're wrong and if they're wrong. A lot of people out there, and some of them are you men too, you haven't really grown up. And that's with this therapist thing. Now, I do think it's good for people to improve and see somebody and have somebody they can confide in and trust in. But again, this movement towards therapy, there's good and bad with this. The good is that there's potential for people to have introspection and to change, and there's the opportunity to improve. The bad thing is a lot of people are not using therapy to improve themselves, to criticize themselves, to see whenever they may admit to faults or weaknesses or mistakes. They're going to a therapist to excuse their bad decisions a lot of the time, and even trying to promote their bad habits. And a lot of these therapists are psychologists, and the study of psychology and many of things in our society have been completely taken over and twisted by feminism. So if somebody says that they're going to therapy, it's probably not a sign that they're mentally well or healthy. Again, it depends. There could be somebody out there that is improving themselves and trying to work on themselves. But when somebody says they're going to therapy these days, they're probably not trying to become more open-minded, or more more considerate, more empathetic, more caring. Their therapist is most certainly not going to encourage them to become a traditional woman and start want to have kids and take care of a man, and maybe make a sandwich or two. These therapists are certainly have every intention to not to to try to make these women not traditional. Let's continue. They say, no thanks, I'm good with Sprite. So again, they're changing social norms. It used to be very common for women to go to bars, and for men or people to drink with each other, and people lower their inhibitions or lose a little bit of self-control, and people are able to feel more comfortable around each other, and it's a very safe, social, open environment in most bars. And women now, they're going to go to these places, and they're encouraging them to not get the alcohol, to not put themselves in a potentially risky situation. But you, of course, are expected to pay for their drinks. Of course, even, of course, again, feminists never argue that they should lose all these benefits that that the women used to have in the past. They want all the benefits from traditionalism and feminism, and they want to be able to decide how much they get of all of these benefits. Pick and choose what they want, like they're shopping out of a catalog, and a lifestyle, kind of catalog, and check a bunch of boxes. And you're supposed to provide whatever boxes she wants whenever she wants, and she can change her decision too. It's not like you're set in a certain lifestyle or a certain way of thinking, or she can change the whole game whenever she wants. So, don't be amazed that, they're encouraging them to not drink alcohol. Don't be amazed. They're still going to get their Cosmos or these fruity cocktails. But again, a lot of those are expensive and they're pretty and they have low alcohol content to begin with. Now women are encouraging other women to not drink any alcohol at all. So if you go to bars or social places, again, you men out there, you're not going to be aware of this, and you're going to make yourself vulnerable and weak, and you already are trying to talk yourselves into relationships. You're already trying to talk yourselves into marriage. Some of you guys out there, or relationships, or let's just see what happens. And you're talking yourselves into this marriage, having fun with, or get, having fooling around with women who are far less attractive than you. Again, a lot of the times I see men dating and fooling around and marrying women. If we're going to rank people on status and beauty and 1 out of 10, often the men are 5s, 6s, and the like. And even these men who are average or slightly below average are dating women who are 2 or 3 levels lower than them, slightly below average, or quite a bit, below average. So, be aware of this. You're going to go out there drinking. You're going to lower those, your self-control. You're going to get yourself, a little bit, under the influence. And you're going to start thinking these women are even hotter, and you're going to lose even, more self-control. And that's when, some of you men out there, you have an unwanted child with these types of people, and they get to take advantage of you even more. So do be careful. Do be careful, you drinking men out there. Do be careful around these types of women. They will try to figure out what your tolerances are, and how you change when you're under the influence of alcohol, and they'll take a whole lot of advantage of that of you. So let's continue. They say drop everything now and meet in the pouring rain. So they are suggesting that meeting physically is the most important thing, or meet as soon as possible. Now, this is an interesting point that they make, because I in the world of technology, I still believe that, with technology, that there's, a lot of apps do have filtering where you can see how compatible you are, and you can try to figure out, if you have some common core beliefs, or if you should even waste your time to drive over to, the local coffee shop, or hang out at a local park or whatever. In regards to dating, meeting as quickly as possible does make things, more real. You're likely to make a more of a long-term connection. But the funny thing is, I as a man would think that women would have more questions. They don't seem to be worried about the men who are actually potentially dangerous. They don't seem to care to vet. They seem to actually want to meet up and be more physical than the men these days. These days, men want to figure out what kind of dating history does these women have? What's her notch count? How many men have these women had? Does she have diseases? Again, these the social dynamics have completely changed. Women are far more aggressive and far more open in their own little ways. So don't be amazed, even if a woman is just 18, just getting out of high school. Don't be amazed if she hasn't had 50 or even 100 experiences with different men, or 100 different men. and had maybe even a couple hundred experiences, even as she just graduated high school. And if you try to date or possibly marry that young woman who just came out of high school, who is a legal scientific adult, there's a lot of people out there who would act as if you are, criminal or worse, for trying to date or marry an 18-year-old. But again, it's all up to you. If you want to go and meet somebody immediately. Some people like talking face to face, they don't like texting. But for me, I think these apps need to be have more, people put more effort. If somebody isn't even bothering to write something in their bio, a lot of people out there don't even read the bios, people write. A lot of the times I don't, even when I used to try to mess with these dating apps, I would just swipe left if they didn't even bother to write anything. And these women expose themselves also in the bio. If they're writing nothing, that's not a good sign to begin with, but a lot of the times they're writing lots of demands, and women are using these social dating sites for validation. Again, it's getting kind of difficult because there's not these public places. A lot of people don't go to bars as often. Again, coffee shops are a pretty social place where you can meet people. There's hobby. I mean, we've been over some of these things before. You can go to clubs or find certain activities that are of certain hobbies and find people of a certain lifestyle, whether you like rock climbing or hiking or surfing or crafting something or just running, or maybe you're into some kind of fitness. Have some kind of hobby that or passion that you're into, and that could work. But again, it would be nice on the internet that that you could filter through and find people who are highly compatible all across the world. Again, it amazes me that we have this technology and this availability, and we're not actually connecting people who are like-minded. Yes, people are complex. Yes, there's lots of details, and a lot of people aren't very open or honest, and maybe some people don't even understand themselves. But it's very difficult and a huge waste of time for most people. If you are actually looking for a relationship and marriage, again, most people are very casual and they're just about having fun. So do understand what you're going to get into. And they talk about love at first sight, truthers. Again, I try to discourage this because, again, it's not really love. It's just infatuation. It's just lust. It's just desire. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that can lead to a relationship, but you don't understand somebody enough to really love them and love who they are and to build. And, it's not the same as somebody who a possible relationship where, they actually understand each other and they're loyal to each other, which is very rare. People aren't loyal these days. Even women, they're not. And where they've built a relationship over the years. That's not, there's different kinds of love. There's all kinds of different kinds of love. But let's continue on with the next point. They say, did you follow me back on Insta? So they're suggesting that, you get involved with their social media. And it's also possibly distracting if you are on social media, that can be a problem. Again, things have become very fast and very casual. So, you can date somebody on these social dating apps, and then they talk about somebody ghost stalking, quote unquote, you, or being very interested in somebody, convincing them to date them. Even if you're a high value man, in this ridiculous world, these Instagram and TikTok girls are very attractive and they're very public and they're so desired that they are considered very, very high value in a social sense. So you might have to put in a lot of effort or have a lot of social cred or a lot of money, and you still might have to talk to them and try to convince them. And then they're going to act like there's a problem with ghosting, as if if women are most affected by ghosting when they're the ones who started the game, and they also are the ones who started the friend zone and all of this stuff. They think it's funny and ironic. But anyways, Snapchat seems to be the place to go to, where a lot of people are, openly looking for relationships, or openly or willing to, be a little bit more provocative. TikTok, and IG influencer people, this is I mean, I that these a lot. I've seen women who try to make fun of it and act like these are not dating platforms. The reason why Instagram became so popular is because of men liking women's photos and trying to date them. The women get to see thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of likes and messages, and they get to pick and choose which, any or some of these men or none of these men, and they get to boost their status and boost their ego and get paid and get on the up and up, and be able to have enough money to go to wealthy areas and meet more influential men. Again, some of these women might pick from their followers, but that's only usually when they get older, or if they're particularly desperate, or maybe a particularly good match or wealthy guy comes along on the Instagram messages. And if she's young, maybe a rich old guy offers her enough money. But a lot of people don't acknowledge that this is what is happening on TikTok and Instagram. These are dating sites, and in a way, the most powerful and influential things serve our most basic needs. Our want for water and shelter and food and entertainment, and even the entertainment of the of the physical kind, if you know what I mean. So this is going on. A lot of you young men, again, you want to play this game, you want to message or hit up a Instagram or TikTok thought or hottie. Again, a lot of you men need to build yourselves up. Again, I was distracted and I was led astray. I was lied to, just like you. Again, you might be able to, if you're 18 or 19 or 20, you might be able to find a woman who just wants to have something casual with you if you're really attractive. But a lot of you guys, again, you're forgotten about. You're the forgotten men. 50% of men are invisible, completely invisible, and they've done studies, and 80% of men are simply unattractive to women. If you're not the top 20%, they don't even look at you and consider you. And this is why, when it also factors into when feminists say that men are so privileged and men have all this money and men have this or that, it's because they don't consider you essentially a person, or they just completely ignore you. If you're a hardworking man, sweating on the street, making, a construction worker or a plumber or electrician, if you are, working really hard, maybe you're just average looking, these women, even if they're average looking, even if they are less attractive than you, they're below average. Let's say you're just an average looking man, and you are, even making a good amount of money, being doing in a trade job, actually providing a service, actually doing something that matters in this world, besides, all this entertainment and all this really fake stuff that's going on, that, and all these things, humanitarian efforts and things that these people in cities do, where they're throwing and burning money everywhere. uh you know you have to understand your value and also your standards, because again, a lot of these women, they won't even pay attention to you. So you young men, again, build yourself up, and and don't even consider dating at 25. You might have to play the long game. You might not even 25 might even be too young. You might have to actually start consider dating when you're 30 or 35. And again, some of you haven't connected the dots. It took me a while. You wonder, when you're 18, 19, 20, and you might want to start having some relationships or some fun, or if you're traditionally minded, maybe you are going to look possibly for marriage, or somebody, maybe something that might last a while. You'll have a actual relationship. You wonder, why are these women not available? Who are they dating? They seem to be dating. They seem to be happy. Sometimes they're, traveling the world, but of course they don't show the men that they're who paid and they're, fooling around with. These women are out here somehow having amazing trips and having amazing food, and they're having this luxury lifestyle, and you don't understand how they can afford, when they're 18, 19, 20, and they're on Instagram Some of them are faking it completely. Some of them are doctoring photos and lying about things and doing things for clicks, but some of them are actually out there on the yacht. Some of them are actually out there on the Miami beaches, dating millionaires in expensive cars, on private jets, and the whole shebang. Some of them are getting it. So, again, you have to understand that you have to build yourself up. And then when you actually make yourself attractive enough or a target enough for these women, again, you're the one who's the target. Then you still have to figure out, how to play the game so you don't lose all of your money and influence, and these people don't try to, get you thrown out of a job or fired or canceled. And if you're a straight man, all these people want to throw you out of your corporate jobs. All these people want to replace you. If you're a white straight man, and if you're becoming successful, you better be really careful, and you might want to move possibly to another country or seriously considering it. And again, if you do go overseas and you do find more traditional women, and we'll be talking about making a whole video dedicated on this type of topic. So quick advice on that is you might want to actually move over to that country. Bringing over a woman who you don't even know if she has the best of intentions, even if that woman does, she's brought over to the West. All of her all of her new friends and all of her co-workers and all these people around are going to see her as a victim. They're going to want to change her and turn her against you. It's their objective to turn this woman against you. Even if you found the best traditional woman, they're all going to try to influence her and change her and make her into a feminist ally. And that's their goals. I've seen it many times. They're hungry to convince these women, to get out of the kitchen, to, not have kids or to not serve kids or all these things. And then they get them into the quote unquote sisterhood. So if you do find a traditional woman, if they even do exist anymore, you better stay in that, move to that country and find a way so you can do your job over the internet. So she's going to be around her friends or her community. And there's dangers in that too. That can all be used against you, but there's a lot for you guys to learn, is what I'm saying about this whole dating game. But they say the next point they make is pick a card, any card. So they're saying that, to ask questions, ask random questions, take, should you take risks? Should you take lots of risks? They say to just be honest, no matter what comes up, that to just be honest. Again, they love to talk about all these trite and feel good type of messages when they themselves are not honest. They're going to twist this, and they're going to, think of random questions and random things and try to put the man on edge with, very challenging or questions that could compromise them or put them possibly in a bad light. Something that could throw off your confidence and, your masculine frame. They love to play little games like this. So they're not going to be honest. But I encourage you men to, if they're going to play this type of game, start at, think of random questions that, they might have to admit to something that, that's compromising, that might not put them in the best light, where they could have possibly made a mistake. If they get very tense, very uneasy, if they just want to avoid you, or they think that that's a problem, you probably just need to walk away. If they're not willing to be open and forward with you about their lifestyle, even if they are a shy, decent girl, a lot of these shy, decent girls, they're going to take you to the cleaners, in a couple years when they learn, that they want to resent you, if they feel oppressed in a marriage or a relationship. So next they say consciously single. Thanks for asking. So again, they get to play all these mental little games. They get to decide, even if they're married, even if they're in a long-term relationship, even if they have some form of commitment, they get to decide if they're consciously single. In the past with disloyalty, they would show people physically take off their rings. Now women, they could even have the ring on their finger, and but they can decide if when or if they want to be single. Women, still can go to girls' nights out. They can still go to the bar. They can still flirt. They can still text or message their old high school flame, an ex-boyfriend. They can do whatever they want and decide when they're single and not single. And a lot of you guys out there don't understand that somebody don't understand how or why somebody could do something like this. In the world we live in, where people think that they can be gender fluid and change their gender from one day to the other, you don't think a woman can play a mental game in her mind that one day she's committed to you and that she's going to be loyal to you and that she's actually going to care about you, and the next day she wants to have some fun so she can change her mental facilities and she has no regret and she can go out there to the bar like she's single, and she's not going to remember that you even exist. She's going to turn that part of her mind off. You don't think that women can do this kind of thing? And they say, have your fun out there, and they say that it's healthy. They say better to choose to be alone than with someone who isn't the right match. Well, that's a good point. But again, they twist these kinds of things. If she feels bored, not entertained, if there are misunderstandings, or if there's not enough communication, she's not going to put in the work to fix the relationship. The woman is not going to put in the effort to have some understanding or to make some compromises. A woman making compromises, oh heavens no. These women are not going to compromise and work with you and negotiate. They're not going to do that. And if you try to bring it up, you're probably going to get a lot of games and a lot of resistance, and you're going to you are going to be made fun of and mocked in her little social circle, and all of her little friends and all these little feminist allies and these types of people are going to be telling her that she needs to go out and find a better man. If you're trying to hold her accountable, or try to figure out what the situation is because she keeps going out on the weekends without your permission, you're just a controlling man. Or she keeps sometimes she's even leaves the kids alone for hours without without a babysitter or anybody to take care of the kids, and she literally leaves the kids and puts them in danger, and and they're vulnerable, so she can go out there and find your replacement, or just just to have some fun, on a joystick, if you know what I mean, or with her friends. A lot of women out there are bi, once again. So let's continue on with this video. There's quite a bit more for us to talk about. They say 6 essential rules for dating on brides.com. Now, this is a website that is dedicated towards marriage and weddings, so they're going to be a little bit more traditional, at least. We'll see if they actually are. They say the first point is put yourself out there. So this is advice for women who actually want to get married. This is not, there might be a little bit of feminism mixed in here, but there's not going to be as much. So, women don't really put themselves out there. They are encouraging women to do so. They say not only get on dating apps. Again, most women don't get on dating apps, and if they are, a lot of the times they're just there for their own ego. They're just there for games and to have fun and manipulate you. They're not there to actually date. You should be able to. On a lot of these dating apps, I think it would be fun if you could leave a review of that person. You chatted with them and you can give them a 1 star out of 5 or 1 star out of 10, and possibly even write a written review and tell them how your experience went. Give some street advice and some social cred, because again, a lot of these people out here, you don't know who you're messing with. But they say put yourself out there. Find more opportunities. Again, this is why women go to big cities, and especially if they're attractive, they go to wealthy areas so they can be chosen or targeted, or they can target the wealthy, affluential men. You don't see these women, especially if they're young and attractive, often going to bars or going to places where that aren't that as social as they would like. Now, they say go to yoga and stuff. Again, that's pretty bad advice, because a lot of men don't go to yoga, and the type of men who do go to yoga are probably feminine. or they're feminist, or they're some kind of short, probably a short playboy of some sort. And these, a man going to yoga is probably just taking advantage of the scene. So again, if you're watching this video and you're a woman out there trying to go out there and date, going to yoga is not a social environment to meet other people. Again, a lot of the things we traditionally had, you either need to go and start doing those things, going to places where people do physical activities are more open, or places that are more public. Libraries used to be considered one, bookstores, or places where it's kind of normal where you could possibly talk to people. Malls used to be considered a place where you could find a date or go meet somebody. Places like this. But we need new social norms, and we need people to talk about social norms, because this is a complete mess. People don't know where to go. People don't know where to meet people who are like-minded. A lot of religious people just date from people who are in their own churches. But again, if you are a religious person, all this applies to you. Feminism is a big part of a lot of modern churches, even mega churches. And you men, there's a reason why most men are leaving most organized religions, because these religions want that money from women, and they know, and they have to appeal to women, because they know they can't lose the women, because they know that most men are coming to the churches, or more likely to stay or to come to a church if the women are there. If there's only men there, the women aren't going to put in the effort, and the women probably aren't going to come if it's just a church that has a bunch of men there. So the next point they make is keep an open mind. True, you need to find, you might figure out that somebody of a different culture or a different language, you might figure out that somebody of a different lifestyle is more interesting or fun or even compatible with you. Go out there and figure out, what works and what doesn't work. You're going to win some and you're going to lose some. But if you've never dated somebody from a certain different country, why not try it? Why not try to figure out what's out there? So, they talk about falling in love and all this. Again, be very careful. And again, if you are going to form a relationship, you as a man need to, sit back and find the women who love you first. Find a woman who wants to prove herself to you. Find a woman who chose you, because if you chose a woman, she might say yes to marriage, she might say yes to kids and all this, but you don't know if she actually believes that she could do better, that she might divorce you a couple years, or think that she said yes to a marriage for that relationship, but that she can in her mind decide that you're not going to be the father. She said yes to a marriage, and she said yes to a certain relationship or an agreement, but in her mind, she didn't agree for you to be the father of those kids. So she's going to go out there and have kids, and make bastards behind your back. And don't pretend like that doesn't happen all the time. And there's a reason why blood tests are not mandatory, and people are openly fighting blood tests, because a lot of women, they play these huge games where they do huge betrayals all the time, and that's possibly the biggest one that a woman can do behind your back. Let's talk about the next point. They say stay safe. Of course, of course, people got to be safe. You just go to public places. You'd be a lot more safe if you avoided going out at night. But for a lot of people, social life starts at night. 6 p.m. is early, and for a lot of people, social life, nightlife, starts at midnight. So it really depends on how much risk and what kind of environment that you like. If you're just a young guy going out there for fun and for a fling, you probably want to try the nightlife. If you're actually looking for a relationship, you probably want to go somewhere more open and more the public and more during the day. You're more likely to find somebody possibly for a relationship if you go out there as a single guy, to go in a public place and go get some lunch, and then you start having a conversation, or going somewhere public, again, I mentioned the lunch break, but again, on the weekends, somewhere you might go shopping, or somewhere, that's possibly somewhere you could meet somebody. But let's continue. These points are kind of generic. They say set your own pace. Yeah, don't pressure yourselves. Again, a lot of you men out there are telling yourselves that, you have to get married at 25. There's a lot, I've seen men actually say that after 25 or 30, that, their dating life is over. They don't understand the dating dynamic. They don't understand how, women, again, women are a lot more than just their bodies, but a lot of the times women don't put in the effort to become more than just, just the physical. So when they're, 18, 19, 20, they are the most attractive, and they decrease in value. And that's how it works with biology as well, because in regards to people who want families. Now, for people who don't want children and don't want families, there's all kinds of different dynamics. But in regards to, fertility and families, even men who do not want children, they're biologically still attracted, even if they're older, to those those younger women. So set your own pace. These women are going to say that they're in no rush. Again, this is kind of bad advice, because a lot of women are waiting till they're 25 to even consider a relationship or to even consider marriage, especially if they're going to college. They say that 25 is extremely young. And if you get married at 25, there's a lot of women out there who consider themselves victims. But so they think that 30 is a normal time to get married. And then they're going to then start to worry about having one or two or maybe three kids, and the risk, and they're going to start paying for in vitro, treatments, and paying thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. And we don't even know scientifically the risk or the damages and the consequences of those kinds of things. And after 30, especially after 35, again, the risk of those kids being less healthy or having disabilities, and having all kinds of different problems significantly increases. And there's a reason why they don't want men talking about this, because again, back in the past, people openly talked about this thing with biology, because people knew these types of time frames. They knew how, life is short. They knew how biology worked. And for some reason, we don't even teach basic biology. In the past, again, you can argue that certain things are social norms, but women, were considered old maids after 18. If you were 19 years old and you weren't married, you were considered, less desirable. You were considered, it was possibly even a problem, and people started to seriously worry that you were going to become an old maid, never get married, and never have a relationship. Because again, in the past, again, obey your laws. I'm not saying disobey your laws and all this, but people were considered adults, both men and women. Men could go out there and hunt, get jobs, have careers. Men were building houses at like 14. Men were going out there hunting and fishing, and they were, doing anything a modern adult man could, at 14. And women out there were, could do the same. At 14, they could go get a job. And at 14, they could, do it at just about anything, and they could also get married. Again, we're continuing this state of, kind of like mentally weak, and mentally, we're suppressing people and keeping people perpetually in a childlike existence or status. It's really sad. Again, a lot of people are going through their whole lives. They go to public schools and high schools, and they're not even raised by their parents before that, in daycares. And then they go to colleges, and they graduate college at 23, 24, 25, and they have no life experience. They've never lifted a tool. They've never sweated. They've never been self-critical of themselves. They've never been told they're wrong. They've never had anybody disagree with them. They've never had a problem. They've never fixed a problem. They've never been told that they've made a mistake, and then that's why you have these people coming out here, and then they feel like they can still set their own pace, and then they get mad of the social consequences. And we're about to have a huge generation of modern these modern feminist type of women who are 30 or 35, not only have they pushed men out of colleges, so there's not enough men to them who are the correct status. There's, again, 60 or even 70% of the people in college are women, so there's only 30% who are men. Roughly 30 to 40% are men. So that means there's at least a third, if not more, of women, at least a third of them, are not going to be able to find a man who, in their opinion, is of high enough status and, making enough money, even if these women had good attitudes and they weren't feminists, and even if they, were willing to work with men. So setting your own pace, again, you as men, you have more time to work with. You should only start considering dating, having fun, or having marriage until you're 30. And that also gives you a little bit of life experience. So, again, when you're in your younger years, like 25 or so as a man, you might actually be really stupid. Again, I talked about getting drunk. You might get drunk under the influence and you might just be stupid, and you might not, you might just, get a woman pregnant. And again, a lot of you younger men are going to start getting targeted by these 30 and 35-year-old women. It's already happening, but we're not addressing it on the local news and in public. These 30 and 35-year-old women are starting to, target these younger men who they think who have potential, because they aren't willing, with their modern feminist mindset. They're not, they might be 30 or 35. They're not willing to date 40, 45 or 50-year-old, 55-year-old men, even if they're wealthy and even if they're good men. These women, they want to take advantage of the situation, and they're going to try to find somebody who is submissive but yet has potential. And I've been targeted by these types of women as well. Let's continue with some of the other points that they have to make here. They say, remember, forming connections takes time. True, it does take time to understand, but you need to be. Time isn't the only factor. You need to be asking questions and building up that trust and that understanding. If you're not asking questions, if you're not, building that relationship and going over and having a Netflix and chill, doing something casual, watching movies with each other, you might be bonding on a emotional or physical level, but you're not asking hard questions. A lot of you men out there and people do not understand who you're actually messing with and their goals and their lifestyle and their purpose. You might find that you're in love. You might find that you want to get married. You might find that you're about to have a child with somebody, but you don't even know what kind of lifestyle that they have, or what they want, or what they're going to do. And you haven't had any real conversation, or you really have no idea who this person really is. So they say maintain a positive attitude. Well, that's good advice, true, but they're saying this type of thing. Again, they don't like to admit the hard truths, because a lot of these women, again, are waiting till they're 25 or even 30, and they're sad. They're miserable. They know that their chances of finding a good man are very difficult. They're not willing to put in the effort. They haven't worked on themselves. A lot of them are very overweight. A lot of them are very unhealthy. And a lot of the times you can look at these women out there and see that they're unhealthy, especially if they're feminist and they're afraid of men, and they think that they're being oppressed left and right by society and systemically, and they think that men are keeping them down. But yet they still want marriage because it's something idealistic to them, something from the Disney cartoons where they get to be the princess and the queen, and they get to order around a man, and that they're going to have that comfortable lifestyle and that security. And again, they can run away and divorce you and take half or more of everything. They can take your house, they can take your car. I actually watched a video a couple days ago, and a woman, literally said, "Get out of my house." And they hadn't even divorced yet. They didn't even have divorce papers. But that man knew that if he didn't get out of that house, that she would have called the cops on him, and that he would be thrown in jail. She can accuse him of anything and everything. And he just left the house. He lost all of his possessions. He didn't even take anything. She wouldn't even let him take any of his personal possessions. He just, you know, he had his wallet, and I don't even know if he got to keep the car. He just left, and he lost his house, and he lost his kids and everything. And that's you know, that's probably what's going to happen to you. And this was a good guy, and he just wanted to know what he did wrong. She wouldn't even tell him what he did wrong. And a lot of you guys are being set up. So again, even if you build yourself up to 30, when you're 30 or 35, and you do make yourself attractive, start getting really attractive, you know, you didn't get to, you know, the women, when you were 18, 19, 20, again, you were attracted to them, and they didn't want to mess with you. Again, now it's your time to have fun, but you still best be very careful that they're, you know, ready and willing to take advantage of you. A lot of these women, you know, they have starter marriages where the, you know, the first man they marry, they divorce them for money, and then they get to have a little bit of a luxury lifestyle. They get to start going luxury cruises and travel the world, and then they're going to look for an even higher value man. So you're just a starter package. You know, a lot of you men, if you're just a Joe Blow or just an average looking guy, or maybe she doesn't think, you know, she thinks she can do better. Maybe she is a little bit more attractive than you. It really depends. But you are the starter package. Hope that you're aware that this is very common. You know, men don't do this very often. And when these people out there do, you know, replace a woman when she gets 25, date a woman, you know, until she gets to that point, they're demonized, they're criticized, and people act as if they're monsters. But again, the woman doesn't lose anything. The woman was in that relationship and got to experience a higher level of luxury and lifestyle, and some things were paid for, and the woman had fun. It's, you know, the woman doesn't all of a sudden, you know, lose, you know, age or wealth or you know, all these things to men from a family, government, court, and lawyers. And, you know, is not the same thing. Men are the ones who are, you know, being taken advantage of in society. It's very clear. Let's continue on with my next point of this video of dating, the modern dating in this world, 2022. They say 8 ways to seduce a guy with body language. I hope that you men know that a lot of women communicate non-verbally. They think it's very normal. I've had women challenge me and even insult me, that they think that, you know, body language is normal, that you should be paying attention to it and understand it. I honestly think that body language should have little or no importance at all. And, you know, if I'm talking to somebody, I am not looking at their body to see how they feel or how they're shifting or how they're reacting. Or I don't necessarily even need to see their face. You know, when you communicate, you know, you're using words, and a lot of people these days are not using words. Again, and they're not communicating, and they think that using little phrases and playing these little games and being nonverbal is what matters. So again, a woman is going to show she's attracted to you, and she's really interested in you. And you modern people out there might say, like, if she's getting wet, she's gonna do like this little skip. You know, a lot of guys, if they're really interested and subconsciously, you know, thinking about the cherries, I guess you could say, back in the day, they're going to be like leaning forward. I've seen it, you know, leaning forward a little bit back and forth. And the women are going to be kind of going a little bit up and down, and they're, you know, they're almost going to, you look excited, but like they almost need to go to the bathroom. And it's kind of strange, but again, they talk about pickup lines and ridiculous stuff like this. But again, you know, play this game if you want to, understand it if you want to. Some people really want to be pickup artists and all this. Again, it depends on what you want. If you're out there and you just want physical fun, understanding body language is fairly important. But again, I don't feel like it's very reliable. Sometimes you assume things that aren't there. Sometimes they're sending body language to somebody else and not to you. Sometimes they're sending body language to anybody and everybody, and then they still get to decide if they reject or accept you. And then you assume that they weren't sending out that body language or that message, and they were sending it out, but they just, they just didn't accept you, or you didn't approach them the right way, or whatever kind of game they're trying to play. So again, this type of game is, or type of communication, quote unquote, is usually done by women because it gives them the excuse to accept, deny, it puts them in a position of power, and they get to, change the meanings, change the word, change their feelings, all based on emotion. And you aren't really allowed to hold them accountable in any way, So again, this is a way for how a lot of people communicate. So smiling, that's fine. Again, they've proven that a lot of women consider you as a beta, weak, usable, if you are a smiling, happy, friendly man. The men who are under stress, the men who are making changes, the men who are responsible, managers, CEOs, and have problems and stress, and they're brooding. And those are the types of men who they seem to be more attracted to. And even the people who are destructive or possibly powerful, because they want to fix those men, the problem men, even the psychotic, the dark triad type of men that people talk about, those, they've proven that that's more attractive to women. So if you're just going out there being a happy-go-lucky man, putting a smile on his face, that's really just not going to work for a lot of these modern women. And again, I'm going to make a whole video about this. I'm going to give y'all a huge secret and maybe the most valuable thing that you've ever heard as a man. But a lot of these women on the pill, the reason why they look for these men who look like they're, more stressed or more angry, or possibly even like they're more violent, is because they're on the pill, which makes their bodies, and it essentially tells their bodies that they're already pregnant. So now they need for the man, or if they were in a marriage or a relationship, or if they were pregnant, now they would need a man to possibly start going out there and fighting and defending and hunting. So on a biological basic level, if these women weren't on the pill and were more feminine, they would be more open to open, friendly conversation. They would be more open to men who are more smiling and all of this. But these women inherently, there's a biological factor, and then there's also the mental factor. Why, again, if you are a friendly, genuine, honest type of guy, you're just going to be taken advantage of. So again, there's a reason why in the past, some people have encouraged you to be more brooding, more closed off, not open. You as a man need to be more mysterious. You need to, tell less of yourself. Don't tell your whole life story to these women. Don't offer your career on a platter to these women. Again, a lot of these really weak beta men who are looking for marriage and essentially looking to be manipulated. And I went to college. I was raised religiously, went to a religious college. A lot of these men would go up to these women, tell them, at college, I'm going to make X amount of dollars. I'm going into this career field. I'm going to get this job at so-and-so's place. And they would offer themselves on a golden platter, serve themselves up as like the golden goose and say that I'm going to make the X amount of dollars and money. I'm going to live this type of lifestyle. I'm going to go live over here. I'm going to do this. And that's how they would get a woman to even consider them, even start to date them. To me, it's extremely absurd. Again, a lot of modern people these days, they're not looking for genuine connections and understanding and a similar lifestyle. And a lot of women are going to expect that. Again, they just have to sit. A lot of women, they expect for them to just be able to sit back and send nonverbal communication. And why I brought that up is, again, you as a man, you might be able to start a conversation or start a relationship, but a woman thinks that she can essentially communicate with you non-verbally or indirectly or hold off, that she doesn't have to be open with you, but a man does have to be open. A man does have to, put himself out there and expose himself. These women won't even tell you you know, how many men or how many relationships they've had, and they've actually actively written blogs and posts and got on the news and talked about that men are monsters or something, that there's something wrong with men if they want to know or choose to not date or choose to not marry women who have a high body count. So then they talk about these types of things like uncrossed arms. Again, if you have crossed arms, it shows that you're closed off and that you're not open. Might even work in your advantage if, again, you men try to act closed off. But again, take into consideration, is the woman acting like, is she open this way? Again, the belly button rule, they say, like, facing the person you're attracted to. You know, if you're folding your legs or sitting somewhere, having your feet faced towards that person is also a verbal cue that's sometimes subconscious. You've talked about that before. They say touch him a bit. I've had women do this and run off and play games. It's flirtatious, but doesn't necessarily gain much. But it's an opener. But again, women can reach out and touch you. But you better not, as a man, do that. That's not socially acceptable if you touch a woman on the arm or her wrist or something. Again, it depends on the woman. But a lot of these modern feminist women, even if you were being flirtatious and touched a woman on her hips or something, they would, you know, they can consider anything and everything harassment. So be very careful. You know, women can consider something harassment, you know, for just how you're talking to her, or if she thinks that you're looking at her in a certain way or something. So we talk about eye contact here. Again, you as men need to be very careful. In the UK and some places in the world, they're making it a literal crime if you look at a woman too long. So, you know, you better try to figure out, if you even want to date these modern women, try to figure out, you know, what's acceptable and what's not. You might even have to ask these women, can I look at you? But again, these women want to be in complete control to outcast or accept men. They probably would be more willing to date or have fun with the man who doesn't ask permission, who, you know, who is bold. You know, again, the difference between a man who's attractive and creepy is a lot of the times how much money he has and how good looking he is. Again, they don't really live or think based on principle. A lot of you men need to accept that and think about that. They don't think or base things on actual principles. So let's continue. They say stand in the middle of the pack. So they say be surrounded in a social environment with people around you in a group, not only so you're safe, but also so you could also find another group of people, like groups of women meeting groups of men. And then there's more, that's, you know, you find people of a similar social class and people are more open and feel more comfortable. They say get a warm drink. Something about biology, and they say research shows people who hold cold things can feel more involved. So holding you know, get a warm drink. If holding a cold drink, you might lose some awareness. So you might be so focused on yourself, you know, and get out of the moment if you get a cold drink. I don't know if that really is true or applies, but you do you. I don't think that's particularly important. They say check that posture. Yes, posture is important. A lot of you men need to figure out how to stand up straight and definitely and have more confidence and speak, you know, in a more masculine tone. Let's wrap this video up, go quickly through some of these. We do have quite a bit more. If you are a guru and hanging out with me and wanting to really learn about dating, hopefully this is the best advice and the best video you've ever seen. Of course, please give me a like, comment, subscribe if you do find it of value. The next point, I probably should make this into a entirely another video, but you know that we do some real long form good content. Anyways, let's continue. They say 15 do's and don'ts when dating. They say do turn up on time. Again, you can play the power dynamic, showing up late or showing up early. I like showing up early. It shows respect. It shows that you're you know, that you're in control of yourself and that you can be responsible. But women often show up late, and if you show up late to a date, the woman often knows that is potentially a power play, and even if one time I was genuinely late and I just played it off, but the woman was really kind of bothered. Again, it's kind of abusive. It's kind of annoying, but you know, you could play that to your advantage. Maybe you men need to show up late to dates. The next point is don't talk about how great you are. You know, again, men are expected to present themselves and to impress a woman, but on the other hand, you have to know about, you know, her feelings and body language, and if you're too confident, and when you're saying too much and when you're not saying enough, and they expect for you to praise them and adore them and give to them. So do understand, you know, if women feel like you're focused on yourself, you know, again, they get to focus on themselves and all the benefits that they get. But you as a man, you know, have to be seem like you're weak or capitulating or usable or a tool in dating a lot of the times. So again, I encourage you men to, you know, present who you are and what you want and see if the woman wants to work with you. Don't capitulate. Don't make yourself an object or vulnerable or too vulnerable, and see if the woman is willing to meet you halfway. Is she willing to, you know, talk about her experiences and what she wants and who she is? Is she willing to open up? If she's not opening up to you, it's not, you know, that relationship is not there. Even if you're physical and all this and having fun and all this, even if you're both in love, if she's not even telling you who she is and all this, you know. Let's talk about the next point. It says do be interesting. So again, men usually have the burden of being interesting. When's the last time that women have been expected to be interesting? When's the last time women were expected to be romantic? When's the last time that women had any types of rules placed upon them, like chivalry or anything? Women don't have these responsibilities, but do expect that women to be interesting. And a lot of the times women will just be shocked. And if a woman is not willing to meet on your level and be fun and be interesting, just walk away. Again, a lot of you men out there are you know, have encouraged and developed these modern women where they have little to no personalities. They don't know how to communicate a lot of the times. You know, especially if they're really attractive. Women don't even have to communicate. Well, women can just sit there and you're throwing money at her. I mean, women can be in public and men can offer them money and everything, and they don't even have to. Some of these women don't even have to learn a language. I mean, they could just literally sit back and just, you know, and have, you know, they don't even have to learn how to speak because they're so attractive and men throw everything at them. Let's continue. They say, don't cheap checking your phone. Again, this is a social culture thing. Again, I see more problem with, it's more common and more of a problem with women constantly checking their phone, and they're addicted to their phones. So I've been on dates before and women are constantly looking at their phone and making excuses. If a woman's doing that to you, you probably just want to ignore. I mean, not ignore her actions, but, you know, maybe just ignore it a little while and then ask like who that is if they keep doing it over and over. You know, maybe ignore the first time they do something like this as socially unacceptable, but then like the second or the third time, you know, just, you know, you might have to, if they're not willing to be respectful in that relationship. So the next point is do listen more. Again, a lot of these things are applied more towards men, you know, with listening. A lot of women they're looking for their own for what they want. They're not actually listening and trying to understand you. But again, you men need to also listen, because sometimes women will sometimes express who or what they are, and you accept really bad behavior. They say don't be underdressed. So you know, if you're going to fancy dinners or fancy events, and again, don't get in. Again, a lot of you men out there are wasting your time and your lives, and you're still doing this dinner culture and giving all these women free meals. But even then, you know, women want to be impressed by the wealth and the lifestyle and how you present yourself. So putting in that extra effort does show that you're, again, possibly care or possibly more wealthy. But again, I think that you as men need to apply this to women. If they show up with in yoga pants and like a hoodie or a scruffy t-shirt, they probably don't care that much about you. Or maybe she's just really casual, and maybe you as a guy just don't care. You don't care what she wears. You probably want her to be not wear. You want her to not have any clothes. Clothes on. But the thing is, you know, you need to have some expectations. You might not care about clothes. A lot of you men out there don't care that much about clothes. That they say ask more questions. Women are really subtle because they know the consequences and what, they don't want to ask a question that you can also ask back, or the social expectation of them having to expose themselves. So a lot of the times they'll ask questions, but they won't answer they won't, open up and tell you, if you ask the question back, or, socially normal for if somebody asks a question for them to explain, who they are or their experience, or, what their response would be also to that question. A lot of you men don't even expect, for women to, open up at all. The next point is don't try to be perfect. Again, you as a man, I kind of agree. Do show your flaws, possibly. You don't have to be stressed out and show perfection. You as a man, it really depends. A lot of men are out there and they still have the expectation upon themselves and society wise that they do have to show themselves as perfect. They have to keep up a certain lifestyle, they keep up with the Joneses whenever they get a house, and the woman has that type of attitude as well. But being honest and being human is another thing. But again, it can go on the really bad opposite direction as well, where women and some of these people expect you to accept or to tolerate or to live with certain like mental conditions, and these women who are bipolar and all these things. I do think that you should put your best foot forward, and that you kind of present the message that you and a man together would be better, or even more perfect. I think that could be good. But be honest, because again, if you as a man are holding yourselves up to a certain standard or a certain image, even if you're not trying to deceive a woman, you as a man, how long are you going to keep up that act, or how long are you going to serve, doing your best, when you don't accept, you don't request or demand or expect that type of performance from a woman. The next point is eye contact. I think this is important. A lot of people don't communicate with the eyes and look. A lot of people act shy or play certain games. I think eye contact is important, and it is pretty lost. I don't know why it's not acceptable, in America at least, with eye contact. And again, some people in the UK are trying to make it crimes with eye contact. The next point is don't spend too long talking about past relationships. That's true. You do need to talk about some of it, but again, if I've ever opened up about those types of things, women held it against me. A lot of the times women would not open up and tell me about their dating experience or their dating life. So again, you as men, have the woman admit or express these types of things for you. Be a mystery. Don't tell them all your secrets and all of your experiences, because these women are not going to be open and honest with you. They say do be honest, of course, but again, you as a man don't need to be telling all the details of your life. Don't think too far ahead. This is, again, if you're a modern dating person, you probably don't have these types of experiences, but I've been around modern religious type people, and if you just meet somebody or talk to somebody or flirt with somebody, I mean, even if you haven't even been on a date, you just met somebody a minute ago, and this isn't even people who have first love. If you're just even friendly, there's people around you, and that person might assume that you're going to be married, and that you're going to have a relationship and this and that. You as a man need to, just go with the punches and never get emotionally involved to the point where you're thinking about, marriage or a relationship. You as a man don't need to be thinking about that until until, you know, the woman wants it and starts asking, you know, for that quote unquote relationship. And if you as a man don't want that relationship or that marriage, if she starts asking, where is this relationship going, essentially, uh you as a man then have the decision to reject or accept that relationship going, you know, into that more personal, you know, type of level. You as a man have the power over a relationship, and the women have the power over, you know, children. And again, a lot of people say the women have power over the, you know, having a relationship or not. uh both of you have both men and women have the power to decide, you know, what is a relationship or what is not. But again, in regards to marriage, the man is the one committing and risking his house, his assets, his company, his money, his career, and everything else. You know, he's putting that all on the line, and his life to defend, and provide for this woman and possibly children and all of this. Again, a woman has the authority and the power over, you know, having children. And again, if these women aren't loyal to you or aren't showing loyalty to you, and you are looking for a relationship and marriage, who's to say that she's going to be loyal to you, in regards to, you know, having your own biological children? She could have somebody else's child. She could have your brother's child. She could have your best friend's child, and she could have you know, just about anybody. And people try to pretend like this stuff doesn't exist. Almost all of, you know, my college roommates, who got married, recently married, you know, their wives who just been married, a week, 2 weeks, like a month or so, they all wanted me, and they all were going after me. And it, you know, at first it really frightened me, and I did not mess with any or do anything with any of them. I thought it was terrible and disgusting. So don't pretend to yourself, men, that you got recently married and that you think that you're in the honeymoon phase and you think that this is going to be amazing and the best that's going to be. These women are still actively looking to replace you and to have a child with another man. Even when you think that this is a perfect relation, somehow a perfect relationship, and you're in love, these women are still looking to replace you and have children, you know, with other men. They say, do offer to pay the bill. No. Yeah, unless she's, you know, going to put out or do something, with you or for you. Do 50-50. That's socially normal now. If a woman is not willing to accept a 50-50 relationship, ask her if she's a traditional woman, and ask her if, when can we have a date at your house, and when are you going to cook for me or something like that. Because most modern women are feminist, or in our social culture, even if they're not a feminist, women can make just as much money as men or more money. Again, 60 to 70% of all women going to college and getting these, you know, these jobs of higher social status and position, they are all, you know, they're making just as much, if not more money than most of you men out there. So they say, don't use cheesy pickup lines. Again, it depends on your culture. Some people like puns. To some people, puns are the best thing in the world. I personally don't care for them much myself, but some people like cheesy lines and pickup lines and puns and things. It really depends, but, you know, be yourself. If you like cheesy pickup lines, and if you want to find a woman who would like that, be yourself. Do what you want. But again, the social expectation, the social norm was a lot of the times for men to have those. Or do that. Again, you know, it was a social norm. Now they're going to act like that responsibility was never put on men. It was put on men. Do throw in a compliment. Of course, men are expected to compliment a woman's looks and outfit and her beauty and her personality and all this. Let's wrap up this video. I should have probably broken this up into a couple of videos. I wanted to mention, you know, there's this video here about dating foreign women. I do feel like I should wrap this up here. This is gonna be a different video for a different day. But I hope that you've gotten some generally good advice. You know, I didn't go extremely deep into these topics, and I didn't go really complex, and I covered a lot of basic information, but this is kind of like an introduction dating video. A video hope that is really helpful for young men and even, you know, men who are in the dating game today. You know, think about these types of things. Think about who you want and what you want to be, and have your own expectations. Again, a lot of you men need to be far more picky in regards to attraction and all this. And a lot of you men are just forgotten about or outcasted. You'd be happy to date anybody, but you'd be amazed if you put yourself in social environments and social situations and you started, you know, talking to women, and then they assume that they can get you, but you show that you rejected them. That gets them curious. They, even if they initially thought you were a lower quality man or not good enough, if you start saying no or you start rejecting women, women start getting very curious about what kind of man you are. They start thinking about your potential, or what kind of other secrets that you have, and they start gossiping. And that's, you know, and this is another huge point of this video, and I'm going to be making a video about this. You don't understand the social dynamics of how women think. Almost all women, you know, again, a lot of you men don't think that women are different than you, or there's no difference, and you've been lied that for decades in your whole life that that men and women are the same. Men, you might look and see a model or some, you know, some star on the hub or somebody, and you might say, yeah, almost all guys, or almost any guy would do that, or like that girl, or go out with her, or do this. Yeah, most guys would, but women, they focus on a smaller amount selectively on a few, you know, a fewer amount of men. You know, again, you men out there, you could point out 100 or 1,000 different supermodels or actors or beautiful women from different cultures and races and religions and ethnicities and skin tones and skin colors and eye colors and hair colors. You could probably find all kinds of different beauties. Again, for me personally, I'm probably more picky than most, but I could probably pick out like 5 or 6 different combinations, again, from all kinds of different ethnicities and skin tones and skin colors and hair types and hairstyles and hair colors and eye color. And I could probably find, there's like 6 or more that I think are like 10 out of 10. I mean, like, amazing. But women, they often, you know, choose the celebrity of the hour, the famous man, or the upcoming person who's becoming really wealthy or really successful, or the model of the hour, the person who's on the celebrity magazines, you know, when they come out with those little things like the, you know, the top 10 most attractive men in the world. Those women, you know, almost all the women in the world, or the majority of them, want those men. So you can get yourself in that position and work that type of dynamic where if you start rejecting the women that you don't like, and you're public about it, and that you express that, then women are going to say, who does he like? Or do I meet his expectations? And, you know, how attractive is this guy? If you are a man and you're rejecting women that you know, you can branch out, you know, more women will start gossiping to more and more women. If you start rejecting women who are fairly attractive, or even women who are considered very attractive, you will start getting gossiped about and into bigger and bigger social circles. And then even wealthier women, or even more attractive women on a bigger scale, possibly even internationally, they will know your name, or they would have heard about you from somebody, or from so-and-so, or they might even acknowledge that you even exist. But again, that is a monumental feat to go international. I was just making that as an example. But you as a man, you know, start setting expectations and norms, and you don't even have to explain yourself a lot of the time. Start rejecting. And again, this will make a lot of basic and weak men around you just hate you, because a lot of basic men who have not stepped up, who are not working as hard as you, or are not as smart as you, or not as competent as you, they're weak, and they'd like to kick you down a couple notches. And if you've offended their friend or their sister, or you've rejected somebody that they would like to date, they're jaded and they're mad. And I've seen this from personal experience, and they will gossip and they will try to tear down that social status that you're gaining. But you as a man, I encourage you to figure out this power dynamic, this social game, this social status, because a lot of this is not taught to men. And that's my biggest message probably out of this of all. Know who you are, know what kind of lifestyle, attitude, personality that you have, and know what you want from a woman. And then start rejecting and demanding. And when women don't, meet your expectations, just ghost them or just kick them out the door. And then you might think that that makes you a bad man or less desirable, or not a good little boy. But you'd be amazed that that is what is attractive to women, because that's what women do all the time. Women are constantly figuring out who you are, your social status, how much money men make, who what they have, what they don't have, who they've dated, what they've not dated, how good they are, do they have the good, and all this kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. They know all this kind of stuff, and they ghost. They choose. They have all this social media and all these followers and all these people who are floating around them, and all these dates and all these offers. Imagine if you as a man, put yourself out there, like on, again, women don't put in that kind of effort. But imagine if you had your own Instagram or your own TikTok, and women started messaging you and you just ignored them. Or you challenged them or disagreed with them about something. You'd be amazed at how attractive that does make you. And again, this is all about social dynamics. If the majority of men start doing this, there was a time where traditional, honest, good, friendly men were desirable, because the majority of men, they didn't allow women to get away with these games. They were rugged. Think of like the Old West. Think about the times where, survival was a big deal. Men were, strong and confident and demanding. They didn't have time for games. If they wanted some fun, they went to the local saloon, and they picked up a lady, and that's how society was. These days, they can still act like they play their games and all this. You as a man, if you're really, really, really wealthy, you might be telling women, be honest with women. You might say that, you might not even have to say it, just reject them. But if you want to, and if you are looking for a relationship, ask these women, what do you offer more than these women I can hire for a night? These women of the night, the woman of the hour. I can hire an escort. I can have an escort every day of the week. What do you offer more than this, or something, or somebody on the internet can offer me or do for me? Because these women, they don't have personality. A lot of these women are not fit or attractive. In the West, we have this fat acceptance movement and all this. What are you offering me that I can't get from escorts or models or people on the internet? Or if I go to a foreign country, I can find a woman who's far more traditional or loving and accepting, and probably far more attractive than you. What are you offering to me? Again, you men out here have little to absolutely no expectations. You need to know how not only how the social dynamic works, but you also need to step into your own power and your own potential. And these women, like they love to talk about divine feminine. Why don't we talk about divine masculine a little bit, huh? On the Daddy Knows Best channel, hope that this has been some inspiration for you men. Start becoming more demanding, have higher expectations, work on yourself, and also, avoid the risk, avoid the dangers, avoid the theft and the manipulations of the family and the marriage courts. You know, don't get married unless you're extremely confident, you know, that you are going to be safe. You know, the family, you know, the friends, you have some control of the situation, and you get a prenup and it's signed in the face of multiple judges, and everything is put on the internet. And there's video recordings of the signing of the prenup, there's video recordings of the lawyers and everything else. And that might cost you money as well. It might cost you, you know, to get a lawyer involved and even a couple lawyers to sign it. It might cost you $2,000 to get that prenup, you know, actually set up in a legal way. Again, the judge might, if when divorce comes for you, still might be able to throw it out. But you have some serious ammunition. You have some serious power there when there were multiple judges or multiple lawyers who signed this video recording of, you know, her willingness and her acceptance of these conditions. And it's, you talk to a lawyer and you've sat down and written this in a very formal, powerful way. The prenup was not written on a napkin. It was written with laws and an appendix and even like definitions of words, so they cannot twist the words into, you know, what they think the word should mean or what it does mean. This is the kind of stuff you have to do these days. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this difficult. But by golly, that's the kind of world we live in. It's the kind of world we live in. So you best, you know, be prepared, and you best, you know, be on your best behavior, my friends. So my sons, I hope that you've learned some wisdom from your daddy today. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, and tell a friend. I wish you the best. Have a beautiful day, live well, have a beautiful life, and I will see you soon on the next video when we talk about dating foreign women and all these topics. So I'll see you soon, my friends. Have a good one. Peace out, and bye.